15 years, man. 15 years of looking at porn on my phone, on my computer, being sneaky, hiding from people, sapping my energy. And it's been a couple years since I've been mastering and mastered this habit. And in this video, I'm gonna have a real talk with you, especially the men in this room, about porn and the normalization, the dangers of. I'm gonna tell my story, and we're gonna get into strategies for how that you can change. But just to let you know the benefits, I feel much better. I feel much more confident about myself. I have less to hide. I'm less twitchy. I'm less sneaky. I have more time. I have more energy. I'm not. I feel less dirty, less gross. All kinds of good things have happened in my life, but I just want to explain to you the feeling of it. I just feel better. I feel something about porn just felt wrong. It's hard to put your finger on it. It felt wrong. But when you're young, and my story probably relates to many of you, I was probably lucky in that I didn't have a smartphone for a while. By the way, if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to hit the thumbs up. I started pre-internet days, so my first exposure to porn was like these pages that would load very slowly, and it wasn't until I was almost 20 that there was, or I guess teenage years, that there was any kind of streaming video. But I remember doing things like trying to stay up. We had, a family shared computer, try to stay up till everyone was asleep so I could look at porn and wank it, or just be sneaky and just be gross, basically. And I was gross and sneaky to my family, and then I was probably gross and sneaky, especially in my 20s. And we're going to get to why that made it possible to change. But can you relate to that? Just trying to be, I don't like having shame. I don't like hiding anything. Porn was like the one thing, or one of several things, but the main thing where I'm like trying to hide it, or I'm trying to sneak. And, it also messes up my sleep schedule. As I was doing that, I'm staying up later and later. I have the latest sleep schedule of anyone in the house, and that screwed me up for school. It screwed me up for work. It just made life harder. So, maybe you can relate to that. I'm just like waiting for people to leave the room, or trying to get some privacy so I can just wank it. And especially as a teenager, and some of y'all can relate to this. Even when I have a girlfriend, or even when I was in a relationship, I was doing this sort of thing. And I know, because the data says something like 60% of married men look at porn. It's a problem. So let's go for a walk and talk, and we're gonna get into how it's possible for you to change based on what's worked for me, and get free from this based on what's worked for other people, and just gives you some tools and tips for how to conquer it. So let's start with the sneakiness thing. Like, there comes a time in your life where you just don't want to hide anything, and you don't want to be. It's just the feeling of like trying to lock the doors or close the window. It's just like, what are you doing? What am I doing? Right? So as I just improved my integrity with my own life, and improved my across the board, just being more honest and being more upfront. This is who I am. This is what it is. And not wanting to sneak, and not wanting to feel shame, not normalizing feeling shame and guilt, saying, hey, if I feel shame and guilt, there's possibly a problem here, maybe I should pay attention to that. Then that sort of started to change my emotions around it, where I notice when I look at porn, I just sort of feel the badness I feel is like a shame or a guilt, right? So I started to notice that and tune like, well, and when I don't look at it, I don't sort of feel that shame, guilt, sneakiness. So it started to have a shift there, and that was important. Another mental shift, and quitting is going to be a mental shift, because if you watch porn, like I had no desire, I didn't quit because I had no desire to quit. I saw nothing wrong with it. It's normal. It's not hurting me anyway. It's not sapping my energy. It's just, it feels good. I'm like a little kid, and we live in a world full of little kids, and it's not your fault. There's just so much overwhelming streaming on demand porn. It feels good. if you're bored and if you're lonely. So first thing, sort of changing your mind about it and deciding, hey, I'm over the shame and guilt. Another thing is deciding that it's gross. So there came a point where I decided, like, this is gross. Like, this is really gross, you know. It's disgusting, basically, and it's gross. It's grossing me out. So once it became gross, it also became easier to disassociate with, like, I don't do gross things. I don't want to do this. This isn't what I want to do. So the first sort of thing is changing your identity of it, changing your thoughts. Like, this isn't something I do because it's gross and because I don't want to feel shame and guilt, and I don't want to be a sneaky person. That's the first thing. The second thing that is really helpful is not being bored, having things to do, having a busy life. So when you're bored, you get into trouble, and that trouble can be scrolling Instagram or YouTube for hours. It could be drinking, it could be smoking. It's definitely looking at porn. So how do you not be bored? Just taking on more commitments in your life, being busier, having more stuff that you need to do, that you need to get done. Reasons you really need to get up in the morning and have high energy and sustain. And part of this is not just being busier, but having a mission, something greater than yourself. Because when you're trying to destroy and give up an old habit, there's creativity that you need to draw into your life. So what am I going to be creative at? What am I going to build? Am I building a new business, a new craft, a new organization, just planning for a new life, learning, studying new stuff? I've got a new books that I'm reading. For me, as a teenager, there's just not like... a lot of what we have to do when you're young is what other people want you to do. So it's hard to care quite as much. And then you don't also have real responsibility. The stakes of life aren't quite as apparent. But for me, as I've gotten older, as I've gotten busier, as my commitments have grown, and my realization that I just don't want to be tired all the time, I want to feel good all the time, then I just have less time. And when you have less time and you're not bored, right? It's like I have so much going on, so many different projects and things that I would love to be bored, but I'm not. I'm never bored. I don't have time, right? So getting busy and having something greater than yourself and different projects and missions and something creative you're building is going to help you out a lot in quitting. What else? Now, something that is really useful as we go back to sort of changing how we feel about it, is realizing how it's causing you to lose a lot of energy. This is probably the thing, and if you've been watching, congrats, you made it to something that to me is probably the most useful and beneficial thing of changing your mind, like seeing some actual data on it. The first thing was seeing how many people are addicted, and the second thing is seeing the data that for the most part, as a man, your testosterone peaks around about day 7 since ejaculation. And sort of hearing some of the conversation around NoFap on YouTube and not masturbating and how it charges up your energy, and learning about sublimation, where you take that sexual energy and you put it into something else, a creative project, making money, raising your family, whatever it is. So this was very interesting to me because when I'm young, I felt like I had unlimited energy, but then I realized, like, yo, man, this is data, this is scientific data. I've been sapping my energy by lowering my testosterone for 15 years. This is messed up. This is not good. Why have I been doing this to myself, right? Awareness that, hey, it actually matters. And for the data on that for the testosterone, what's interesting is it's not you can never ejaculate. It's after about 7 days, your testosterone continues to rise. It's about 7 days, it stays sort of flat. So it's good to go 7 days or possibly more if you want to maximize your testosterone as a man, which is something you might want to do because it's just going to help you be more masculine, have more energy, feel better. There's a lot of different nice things associated with being higher testosterone. So I realized, I've been sapping my testosterone for a decade and a half here. I don't want to do that anymore, right? Now, combining wanting to go 7+ days. Now I start in my habit tracking after I've quit alcohol, I've quit weed, I've quit tobacco, and porn's probably the hardest one, to be honest, because it's on your phone. What I found was that when I started to notice it, yes, my energy went up. Like I would go 2 weeks, 3 weeks without ejaculating, whereas a teenager, I'd wank like almost every day, right? Multiple times a day, almost every day, different periods. But I started to find that, wow, my energy is crazy. Like after 2, 3 weeks, I can't even sleep. I've got so much energy. I'm so charged up. There's something really to this. So seeing some science and then changing. Now, at first, as I was doing this, well, it gets 2, 3 weeks. I wanna masturbate. Maybe I'll look at some porn. But in combination, two things. The first thing is realizing like, okay, the problem isn't necessarily masturbation. It's porn, like having this visual stimulus to go to when I'm bored just for some quick pleasure, to saying like, okay, I can still masturbate, but it's not going to be like looking at this phone screen. It's going to be as it arises, as it emerges naturally, perhaps using my imagination. Now, but in combination with having a sexual partner who wants your sexual energy, it's very easy to not masturbate or look at porn, right? So something that I noticed as I started to remove porn from my life is a lot more, and now it's just one steady. I just want one steady one. Sometimes I have a different one, right? I'm the type of guy who likes a girlfriend. Ideally, in this next chapter of my life, in my 30s, I'm gonna have a steady partner and kids, and I feel like perhaps I'm getting there. But as I quit, whatever you want is fine. Whatever stage you want is fine. As I quit porn and decreased my masturbating drastically, a lot of sexual relationships started to happen, more so than before. A lot more sex started to happen. And why did that happen? It just naturally happens. And one of the reasons it naturally happens is your testosterone increases. Women can smell that on you. It's associated in our pheromones. Women can smell that you're charged up. Women can smell, it's like going to the body odor. It's just, you're going to the market and you have body odor. It's just clearly people are aware, like you have an energy, an aura about you, right? So you start to attract more women and more sexual partners, or better sexual partners, or asexual partner into your life. And then, in this case, like, say that my partner wants to have sex all the time, and I want to charge up my sexual energy and not ejaculate. You can see that there's going to be a conflict here that needs to be resolved in the relationship, and that's a second discussion, which we won't necessarily have on this channel. Perhaps we can if you want, but maybe you come to an agreement where you have sex on these days. You don't always ejaculate during sex. That's another thing that I discovered, and that's another thing I found through sort of this nofap discussion on YouTube. Is like the goal is to ejaculate. Having sex. Now the goal is often to not ejaculate. Like I don't want to sap my energy. I'd like to save it for about a week, or at least multiple days, or however long. So now there's like a conflict where your sexual partner is trying to get it from you and you're trying to hold it in. There's just no time for porn, right? There's no desire to masturbate. Like you're trying to hold it in, right? So this is sort of a series of shifts that I made that's led to very, very rarely masturbating, and almost never looking at porn. Of changed my mindset to like, I'm over the shame and guilt and feeling weird. I don't want to sneak. It's become a gross, dirty thing to me that I realize is a massive problem for people, and I want to be more of a better role model for people. I'm sort of realize that it's just bad for your chemical balance, and that I want to have higher. And that was just masturbating. We didn't really even talk about how porn changes gray matter in the brain and just makes you so just a sponge for quick dopamine, and makes it harder for you to just feel good doing normal stuff. But I realized that it's bad for my chemical balance. If I want to be a higher testosterone male, then I need to hold it in more. And I experimented with that. I found that to be true energetically with me. I started to get a lot busier and have more projects and have less time and more responsibility and not wanting to be tired. And I started to also then attract better sexual partners who want my sexual energy, and I just have no room to give it to, you know, just spray it worthlessly. So, and I feel like it's leading me into this next chapter of my life where it's not about ejaculating, that was stage 1. It's not about sex, that's sort of stage 2. Then it becomes about, okay, how can you use your seed? Well, maybe you have kids. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm in my 30s and I'm maneuvering and navigating. So, yeah, hope you found that useful. Hope you found that interesting. If you stuck all the way to the end, I've got a free course, and that course is going to help you, probably still free. It's ridiculous that it's free. So if you want it, you should go get it before I always say I'm going to put a high price on it. And maybe I will, but that's the reason to go through it today. It's going to help you quit anything, quit porn, quit weed, vape, whatever it is. So please comment down below. Let me know if you found that useful, and then you can look in the description and the links for the course down below. So really hope you found that interesting and useful. I appreciate you. And if you made it all the way to the end, let's just go check on the sheep and the dogs. Do something else here. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Sheep, 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 sheep. You got the sheep chilling on the grass over here. And then we have a little rainbow just came in. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. There's the rainbow. Beautiful rainbow. And then we got the dog. Nolani, come here. Come here. Come here. Got a little treat for her. She's already assumed the position. That's a good sit. That's a good sit, baby. Hit the thumbs up. Let me know what you think about the farm scene. Beautiful mornings out here. Lucky to have this life. And I think a lot of the reason is, so much of it is quitting. Quitting the drinking, quitting the smoking, quitting the porn. Because porn is going to rob your energy in ways that you can't really understand until you leap over the chasm and change. Okay, sound good? Appreciate you. Much love. Talk to you soon. Peace.